How many times have I asked you, honestly, about this? Honestly, if I was to count it, I'd probably be embarrassed.
I don't remember how many. Let's have that answer be the one, yeah?
That'll do the job. I don't know if you want to do any kind of like jokey intro for the start of this. Just like build it up or something. That could be quite funny.
Hello, Heisters.
Is that it? Is that what I'm going to be asked? Perfect. Job done.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. My name is Red Archer Live, and welcome to the final day of the week of Payday. And today, it's the big interview with Starbreeze's global brand director, Almir Listo. You can join us for a big in-depth chat about Payday 3, creating the game, what the vision is for the game, and also some of the changes within it, as well as expanding beyond that, looking at consoles, microtransactions, modding, live-action portrayals, and a heap more stuff. It is one of the most in-depth interviews I've ever done with someone related to Payday, and I genuinely enjoyed every single second of this. It was so fun to finally get to do something that, as you've seen in the intro, I've been asking for a little while. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. I really hope you enjoy watching this as much as I did putting this together, because it's been an absolute blast. Enjoy.
So, hi Almir, thank you very much for arranging this and letting me have this chat with you. It's definitely been something that I've wanted for a while, so I really do appreciate it. But first off, congratulations on Payday 3. I know it's not out yet, but as I've said with the interview with Andreas, which will be out by now, I've had a chance to play it, and it's fantastic. It's a really, really strong game, so it's good to get an insight and just chat to you a bit. But just in case anyone doesn't happen to know who you are somehow, can you introduce who you are and what you do at Starbreeze?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name's Almir Listo. I work as the global brand director as well as the head of community here at Starbreeze Entertainment.
Yeah, because it's slightly rename change as well now, entertainment rather than...
Indeed, yeah. This is the year of Payday, right?
It
so
is.
We're making sure that we align everything properly to the community and to the world, really. So, this is our time.
Yeah, it is our time. I like that. Good. So the first thing I want to ask you about, Payday's obviously got some inspiration to the real world. You know, Heat is something that you've cited repeatedly as a big thing for when Payday the Heist first kicked off. But going into Payday 3, were there any specific inspirations that you had to set it apart at all, or anything you wanted to base it off or be influenced by in any way that was different maybe to Payday 2 or Payday the Heist?
I think Payday 2 is a big influence. Payday the Heist is a big influence. But looking at other parts of our culture, our global culture, you mentioned Heat. That's obviously something very dear to my heart, but I know a lot of our development colleagues also love that movie. One movie that most of us have watched in the past, if not all of us developers, is Ocean's 11.
Right.
Those movies. And I think, especially when you look at the stealth aspects of the game, being able to go in and out without anyone noticing, I think that plays beautifully into the fantasy of being a career criminal.
Yeah.
You don't have to hurt civilians. You don't have to hurt the environment. You just need to get away with the bags.
Yeah.
And I think you're able to do that in Payday 3. And we really managed to hit the vision properly in that aspect. Obviously, when you're making a game like Payday 3 that takes numerous of developers years to make, and you're following up such a big title like Payday 2 has become over the years. I mean, it's not any game. It's a game that was launched 10 years ago. Myself being a producer on the title. At the time, we were 30, 40 people working on the game.
Yeah, it's quite a juggernaut now, yeah.
Yeah, now a decade later, we're working on and getting the third game out the door. In a way, wrapping up the trilogy. Not saying that it ends here, but still, you know, making a trilogy happen in video games is not an easy feat. And for us, it's taken 12 years to come to this place. It's a very special time for us as developers, but also for our dear community, you know, the Payday players out there who've been following Starbreeze's journey over these past few years and following and continuously playing, thankfully, Payday 2, not only to support us, but also because of the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
It has improved as a game over the years. I thought it was great at launch, but it has only become better now.
Yeah, it's become something almost entirely different. I love that you say not that we're ending here. So that's where the Payday 4 theories begin. You can get started now. It feels so weird even saying there's even an idea of that, because Payday 3 was it was almost like a mystical thing, right? Because it was first announced in 2016, was it? It came out, I think, around the time of Update 100 for Payday 2, right? So,
yeah, we announced it years ago, and I'm so happy to be at this point in time where we're able to show you and have you play the game yourself, you know, not just talk about it, not just have people watch the gameplay trailer, but actually get their hands on it and try heisting themselves in Unreal, you know. And I think that's such a huge, momentous occasion for us, moving on from one tech to another. It sets the foundation for the years to come. And I think when I say that we're wrapping up the trilogy. I mean that in the sense that with Payday 2, we never intended necessarily to make a sequel. We wanted the players to feel that we were going to work on the title for a long time. Did we think we were going to do that for 10 years, over 200 updates? Come on. That's impossible to estimate. Yeah. But here we are, and I see a bright future for Payday 3.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing. So I remember every time you heard that, development had been extended for content updates and stuff. And even now, I suppose the dream of Payday 3, you've announced you've got 18 months of support locked in. But I mean, obviously, you're hoping you'll be able to go further with that, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a very important part of it to highlight. The fact that our partner in crime, Plyon and Deep Silver, agreed to us from the get-go to put in 18 months worth of post-launch.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, hopefully only the starting stone, right? And the players will let us know if they want us to continue or not. And I do believe they will.
I've got a feeling they will, yeah. Just judging from what we've seen, yeah. Because I've seen, as I said, for context for Andreas, I've played 2 of the heists out of the 8 at launch. Which I said to Andreas, when you first said that, I was kind of like, ooh, that's not quite as many as I was hoping, but there's a lot to each of them. And I think that there's been a lot of kind of heart putting. It's kind of like Andreas said, it's the movie poster vibe. Everything's very unique. It does feel a bit more like it's gone back to its roots, which I think was a really good choice.
And I think it's only natural people look at the amount of content and go, hey, wait a minute, I expected this, I expected that. Because all of us out there have different expectations of what Payday 3 will be.
Yeah.
But we need to remind ourselves, this is only the beginning, right? Launch is only the beginning for a long, beautiful journey together where we will look to create a ton of content post-launch, including heists, characters, weapons, and whatnot, right? And if you look at Payday the Heist, that got released with 6 heists, I believe, if I remember correctly. Payday 2 with 12, and now Payday 3 with 8. The difference being, in Payday the Heist, the heists were more movie-esque, if you will. They were standalone in a different way than they were in Payday 2. Reason being, in Payday 2, we were looking to create a stronger narrative, more grounded in the journey of the gang itself, right? Them coming to Washington, D.C., it being about political crime, not only about crime for money, the chase for money, but also trying to influence Washington, D.C. through the elephant and whatnot, and eventually robbing the White House, right? A few years later.
Quite a big moment, that, yeah.
I think it's so cool to see the red thread of the story continuing, the narrative being in the same universe. And I know you're a big movie buff. You have a lot of appreciation for stories, and especially stories told over time across several different mediums or movies, And that's, not every game can do that. But thankfully with Payday, we managed to keep that red thread. Dallas from Payday the Heist is still Dallas in Payday 3.
Yeah.
And everything he's experienced this past decade, he brings with him, all those emotions.
Exactly.
Who he screwed over, who he didn't, and so on. All that plays into Payday 3 at launch, but also the future of the game.
Yeah, and speaking of that progression, one thing I picked up on in your presentation that I wanted to touch on here specifically was the narrative setup for Payday 3, because all that was put on like the Steam store pages, etc., was that someone drags them back in, but you gave a little bit more information as to what had happened context-wise. Can you share a bit more about what that was and what you told us to set it up?
I could, but at the same time, I don't want to, because I think the story... The beautiful thing about Payday 2 being a sequel to Payday the Heist, and something that I think makes Payday different from other games I've played myself and I see online, is the fact that the story is not only made by us, it is made together with the community.
Yeah.
So the introduction of Hoxton in Payday 2, that was never our original intention to introduce him the way we did post-launch. For the viewers that don't know, Houston took Hoxton's place in Payday 2, right? Yeah. And all the players were wondering at the time, where's Hoxton? Why isn't he part of Payday 2?
Pete Gold's got a lot of fans.
Yeah. And then I remember one community member going, maybe he's in jail.
And you saw him went, write that down.
That's literally what we did.
Yeah.
And we started talking about that internally, and we said, yeah, he's in jail. And we sat a few people in a room. We did the recording where Hoxton's lawyer speaks to him in his cell, explaining a bit more about the narrative.
Yeah.
That's all thanks to the community's original input then and there. The Hoxton breakout heist, the entire community campaign around that time, that all started with a seed from the community.
Yeah.
On establishing where is Hoxton. And I'm sure we will see the same thing for Payday 3. with all of the rest of the heisters. And I wouldn't want to like say anything now that I might need to go back on, or that just isn't as interesting as something that we, together with the community, can come up to together without them really knowing, you know.
Okay. Well, speaking of characters then, one thing I asked Andreas about that I also want to get your take on is the change of faces for the characters in Payday 3, because we have still got our core characters. We've got Dallas, Jane, Toxin and Wolf, but they look a little bit different to how they did in Payday 2. Can you explain a bit like what the decision behind that was, how it ties into the game, all the stuff around that?
Absolutely. So Payday 2 was released 10 years ago with many different team members, different time. Today, you know, we are an evolved team, an evolved game. You know, we've made a lot of learnings from the past. And what's also happened is that the development team have had a lot of ideas on where they want to take Payday, where we want to take Payday into the future. And one of the things is the likeness of the characters, like how the characters look in game. And what the creative team wanted, what the development team wanted, was to make a creative decision to change things up.
Yeah.
To retain the spirit of each character, but to remake their faces and how they look. Some will argue Hoxton doesn't have a ponytail anymore. Well, you know,
that's already had a few people.
People can get a haircut.
They can.
I mean, yeah.
You did it. You had long hair for a while and then trimmed it back again.
I did, indeed, yeah. And I think the important thing with the Payday gang is to retain the spirit and the integrity of the characters. So you will have Dallas feel like Dallas. You will have Dallas have the voice of Simon Kerr, who was the voice of Dallas in Payday 2 and Payday High.
100%.
And since you see the characters with masks on most of the time, I think players won't mind it that much. But for me, in the capacity of brand director, it was important to make the developers feel that they had the creative possibility to do what they wanted with the game. That's a very important thing about game development. Not to allow any outside force to tell you how to make the game the best way you want to make it. And I think that's it's about respect, you know. It's about respect for the developers, the integrity of their ideas and what they want to convey to the players. So I'm sure there will be a lot of differing opinions on the characters, the design of the game, the heists, the weapons, all of it, right? But that's all part of the story. So I welcome it.
So we've talked a little bit about Payday 3 getting post-launch content, and you've got an idea to try and draw a bit more. Do you as a studio have some kind of particular vision as to where you can see the game going that you'd like to go in a direction of, or is that something you're keeping more under wraps for the time being?
I think we want to make sure that it becomes the best post-launch experience possible to our community.
Right.
Both the existing Payday fans, but also the new community members that will come in as part of Payday 3 being their first Payday game they ever play. And I think the way we do that is, one, you know, drawing the right learnings from our past, what to do, what not to do. And one part of that, what not to do, is something we were very clear with in the first developer diary we did, is that we want to retain the core, the integrity of the brand, the IP, the game universe, and focus on the core gang and what they're looking to achieve in the world of Payday. And then we can expand outwards from there, not to do a collaboration the first thing off the bat. You know, I mean, in Payday 2, we did over 30 collaborations.
Yeah.
Many of them awesome. Some of them, you know, with various input from the community. Yeah.
And nothing.
Yeah. And I think the good thing about all of that is that Payday 2 acted in a sense without us knowing as a test bed for Payday 3. What to do, what not to do. And here now for Payday 3, we know what we want to do. And we think that we will get the community on board for whatever that might be. And it will, of course, be new heists, new characters, new weapons, and of course a lot of quality of life improvements, because Payday 3 is designed as a live game, so the post-launch is very dear and important to us.
Yeah, and it's a very similar model. I know some people have commented saying that it feels different, but it's exactly what Payday 2 did, right? It expanded from there. And I know personally, when I first got Payday 2, it was on the Xbox 360, and it was just kind of like the launch version. There wasn't too much to it. And I'll admit to you, I didn't play it very much after that. There wasn't that much there. And I thought, it's good, but there's not enough. When Crime Wave came around in 2015, with all the extra stuff, that was what hooked me in, because there was so much more on offer. So it's about post-launch, adding more stuff, keeping people in. So I completely get that, because that was what drew me in and got me in properly.
And we'll probably see a lot of players, not necessarily coming in at launch, even though we'd like everyone to.
Yeah.
But some people come in later because we added a certain character, or did a certain collaboration, or made a new feature that was part of a new heist.
Yeah.
got people excited. And because Payday is a co-op game, first and foremost, people usually bring in their friends, and friends tend to get excited at certain points, right? Some friends jump in on board with you straight away. Others, wait a while and watch you play it. And then they go, hey, I like that.
Yeah.
I want to try that now.
And others you just meet by playing Payday.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but the friend group I have on Xbox, I met through Payday. It was it's a crazy little thing. I never did voice chat in games very much. I was always a little bit shy when I was playing. I was younger, but I did one heist. It was Watch Dogs. I remember it so vividly. But I was like, this one time I'll just invite the people who are playing to a party and we'll have a bit of a chat. And one of them I just struck it up with. We kept talking. He brought me into the friend group, and we've been friends for 8 years now. Wow. So it sounds corny, but that's what games like this can do. It's a beautiful thing.
And I don't think it's corny. To me, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And Payday is all about creating those friendships so you can perform crimes together. Yeah.
Exactly.
And get your payday.
Clues in the name, right? Well, before I go on to console, because that's something we obviously do need to talk about. You mentioned collaborations. I did this with Andreas, and same thing with you. If you were to pick completely outside of everything, one thing you'd love to collaborate with on Payday 3, even if it necessarily doesn't fit the format, just to kind of get an idea of what you'd like, what would you pick? What would your one collaboration be?
That I would like to do, or that we did?
That you'd like to do for Payday 3, whether it fits or not. I know you want it to fit, but just...
So, for me, one thing I'd love for us to see, and we will see if it ever happens, but I think the introduction of John Wick into the Payday universe was ultimately a great thing, not only for the John Wick fans, but also for the Payday community. And for those of you who don't know, we added John Wick 2 days before the original movie ever released.
It's that close?
Yeah, as part of the lead up to the movie launching.
Wow, okay.
And on 50,000 tickets across the US at the time, at the back of the John Wick ticket, people would find a Payday 2 code that they got for free.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah. So we did this really intricate campaign together with Lionsgate. Whatever little part we played in making John Wick a successful franchise, we were so happy to do that. And who knows? We might meet John again. I know for a fact that the Continental Hotel is in New York. And
that was a big thing, yeah. And actually, Payday was what got me into John Wick.
Yeah.
I checked it out through that again, yeah.
And I think that's what we intended. And I'm so happy to hear that's how it happened to you.
And funny enough, you'll be glad to know that's what I said to Andreas, because he picked Batman.
Oh,
he said he'd love an idea of a Gotham City heist. And then he asked me, and I said, I'd like to see John Wick come back. And I also joked that I would like to see Keanu play him.
Yeah.
So I know you've met him.
And I have, and that was a pleasure. And I never got to meet Lance Reddick, though, and may he rest in peace. I thought it was beautiful that we were able to do something with him for Payday.
Yeah.
And the way that the Payday community came up and celebrated his acting career and his life achievements, I thought was beautiful.
Yeah. It was a really sad time that year. It was fantastic. Everything he did, really. So yeah, the John Wick crossovers were fantastic, and I wouldn't mind seeing a couple more. If John Wick 5 is happening like they say, then
who knows?
Who knows? Right, so there's a big one, and it's probably the one you expected me to ask you about, and it's consoles. As we know, the console versions of Payday 2, they've had, to say their troubles is putting it mildly. So what I'd like, obviously I've spoken before about, the problems, that kind of thing, but I don't feel like, if I could be honest, we've heard as much about reasonable explanations from the studio as to what's happened. I know the dev diary has just come out about platforms at the time of recording this. I haven't seen it because I want to react to it, so I'm acting as though that's not here. Can you talk a little bit about kind of maybe what went wrong with consoles for Payday 2, and also how you're rectifying that and making sure it doesn't happen again for Payday 3?
There is a simple answer to it, and it's the tech.
Yeah.
Right? At the time, we were unable to meet our goals. We had lofty goals of having parity between the platforms as we were making Payday 2. But as we progressed into the post-launch, because we weren't aware that we were going to do so much content for Payday 2 after it released, that put us in a very difficult position where we had to essentially cut the console community out of future content. And that is our bad. That is our screw up as a studio. We should never have put ourselves in that situation, but ultimately that's what happened. And I think the redemption arc for us is giving the console community a proper experience with Payday 3, with it being parity across all platforms. As we have been developing Payday 3 now for the years, we have made sure that if it plays well on PC, it plays the same on consoles. And that's what we're looking to get out to the console players out there. Because that's the beauty of the Unreal Engine. It allows us such a better foundation to make that into a reality. Because there is no real reason for us not to give the console players the experience they wanted, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing for us to earn by doing what we did. So it's essentially just us screwing up, wanting too much, and not having the resources to deliver on that. So I can only apologize for the rest of the team and us as a studio historically that we weren't able to live up to those expectations. But thankfully, in a way, that's a thing of the past, with Payday 3 now coming up, and the console players hopefully being able to look past that and look to the future of Payday and join us for the journey ahead with Payday 3, being able to be on par with the rest of the community and enjoy the experience together. Cross-platform, mind you. So console players today will be able to play with PC players and vice versa, which I think is amazing.
It's brilliant. It's a really good way. And so, well, I remember saying it would be a great way to ensure things would be the same if everyone could play together, because you can't play together if you've got different builds of the game, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we have to make it work this time around.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of get that acknowledgement and that reassurance. And of course, not everyone will kind of buy into it immediately, but I think that with time, hopefully you'll be able to show that the actions are just as powerful as the words, right?
And I respect that, you know. I think a lot of players, console heisters, were feeling let down by us. And I respect that. I see that. And hopefully they will allow us the opportunity to show that we have a different plan for them this time around.
Yeah. 100%. There is one other point of contention I just want to kind of chat over with you, get a bit of clarity on. There's been some rumours underwater about the possible appearance of microtransactions in Payday 3. Obviously, as you know, there's been issues with that in the past with Payday 2, so players are a little bit concerned about that. I know the Payday 3 FAQ has made steps to try and clarify that a little bit. Can you talk a little bit more about what's going to happen via microtransactions in Payday 3?
First off, let's go back a bit to 2013, where I said to the community members at the time, there will be no microtransactions in Payday 2, and shame on you if you think otherwise.
Yeah.
I said that, right? And at the time, that's what our belief was and what our focus was. We changed our minds. We paid the price for it because the community was in an uproar for the way we introduced microtransactions. And I do believe there were two things that the community were angry about at the time. One, that we went back on our word. And for that, I've apologized in the past on the team's behalf, and we made amends, right, by removing them. But two, it was also that the items that we added through microtransaction were paid to win, i.e. they were improving your character's ability to perform in the heist. So there is a sense of us, you know, cheating the players, because even though Payday is a player versus environment experience, you don't want to know that someone who's heisting with you has bought their way into power. 100%. Right? You want the group to feel that we have the same opportunity to achieve success, and you want that to be the foundation of the experience. For Payday 3...
Unfortunately, I have to interrupt here because that is where the camera recording cut off while we were filming and we didn't realise it at the time. And so knowing that we'd missed out on the answers for modding, live action portrayals and all sorts of stuff, I dropped a message to Almir and asked him if he'd happen to have any free time before Friday, and he very kindly obliged and quickly booked in some time with me to re-record the answers. So Almir, thank you again for that, because it means a great deal to me. But that means this last bit will be online, but everything else will be the exact same. I'm going to slide in towards the tail end of him repeating the bit about microtransactions for Payday 2 and slide right into the rest of the answer. So I'll leave you to it. Here's the rest of the interview.
For the Payday community, it was a lot about the fact that we also included stat boosts at the time. And we've obviously learned from our mistakes. And for Payday 3, while I won't be able to go into specifics exactly how we're looking to do it in the post-launch, we've definitely made our learnings from all of the things that have happened and are looking forward to sharing more on how we look to take money for, you know, new content that we're going to release, whether it's heists, weapons, characters, and so on. We want to do that in a good way that the community can get behind. Because if we don't have the community backing us, then what do we have?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that's just a re-clarification, of course, that the microtransactions don't kick in until after launch. Yeah, there won't be a present when the game comes out.
Precisely. And I think it's very important for us to have a solid experience at launch at $40. You know, we feel that's a good price point. It's a fair price point for a fair amount of content. And I'm just excited to see what the heisters out there think about the game when it's out there.
Yeah, I'm very excited because we'll get into it in a little bit. We've got quite a good opportunity here now. We're doing this pickup because we're recording this after the embargo is lifted. So I've already put my video out about playing it early, so we can touch on that later. It's going to be a bit interesting for a final question, I think.
Yeah, and you had pretty fun, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, I know I didn't play it quite as much as some of the others because we were busy having a bit of a chat at the time, but I honestly had such a blast. I'm honestly just keen to get back into it again because I've kind of been bitten by the bug now, right? You know, it was really, really fun to get into, and I'm keen to do more. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed you guys do more soon, like a beta or something. I'd love to see something like that, but whenever you give me the chance again, I'm there.
As long as the foundation is there for Payday 3, right? Anything is possible. And I mean that in the most positive of ways. I mean, we have a history now of working together with the community and making sure that we put out the best experience possible with Payday 2. And I think we've proven that, even though there have been some technical issues in the past few weeks with the latest Payday 2 update. Generally speaking, I think the Payday community have been very satisfied with the content we've produced over the past few years.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, very, very well said. Okay, so let's step away from the microtransactions now. One thing that I want to focus on that hasn't had too much attention in the FAQ, etc., so you may not have too much to say here now, but it's to do with modding for Payday 3. Now, I understand that with the existence of crossplay and cross-progression, that might create some problems for how mods can work. Is there anything you can share right now as to how modding may be incorporated into Payday 3, how you may be allowing mods to take place in the game, anything along those lines?
I think modding is a huge part of Payday. It's, for Payday 2, we have over 50,000 mods out there that affect the gameplay experience in various ways. Most of them to the benefit of the players involved, some of them maybe to the detriment, unfortunately, but that's what you get with modding, right? You get all of it. And I think for Payday 3, what's important to realize as a Payday heister is that, one, we love modding as developers, right? But two, we are making a new game in a completely new engine that we have never allowed modding on before. And in order to do that properly, we need to do proper groundwork beforehand, investigating the best way forward for modding. And I look forward to the day, which is not today, unfortunately, where we will be able to share more on our ideas on modding, how we can move forward with it, what we can do, what we can't do, because it has a lot to do with the Unreal Engine, the way the game is set up. As you know by now, the game can be played through crossplay. There is cross-progression, which is incredibly intricate. It's much more advanced than it was for Payday 2.
Yeah.
And we have to keep all of that in mind as we move forward, including when it comes to modding. So while I can't give you like a clear, this is exactly how you do with modding in Payday 3 right now, I want the Payday heisters out there to know that modding is very dear to us and that we've appreciated the modding community. Heck, I've been playing with mods on stream, right? When we stream twice a week, and I've had a blast. So of course, that's something that we want to see continue in some form. But exactly how, we are yet to share.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to find out more when you do. But as you said, crossplay, it's the thing I think I said a few times. It was something I wanted the most out of Payday 3, just to unite the players. And I'm really glad that Starbreeze have that vision with Payday 3 to bring everyone together under kind of one family to connect everyone with crossplay. I think it's a very cool choice. And cross-progression as well, I think is brilliant. I really, really like that that's included as well. So that's really good to hear.
Thank you.
Okay, so another big one for you. Not quite necessarily related to Payday 3, but it is something that's on a lot of people's minds because it was announced a few months ago that Payday was going to be getting some form of live-action adaptation. So can you share any more information on anything going on with that? I don't imagine you got much to say, but I'd be foolish if not to ask you about it at all.
Cheers. And also, a few months ago, we announced that we had partnered with a company called Stockholm Syndrome in order to investigate the possibility to make maybe a TV show or a movie about Payday. That's something that our community has been asking for years now. And we also have a history of making live action content for DLCs, trailers, and whatnot. So, of course, this is something that is top of mind for us with a franchise like Payday and with such a dedicated community behind it. And while I can't share anything specific today, I can just say that I think that message back then was a very clear indication of the future and exactly when we have more information to share. I cannot tell you, but I'm very excited about the prospect of it all. I definitely think and feel that Payday as an IP deserves a, full-length feature or a mini-series or whatever it might turn out to be eventually. But yeah, I just think it's such a perfect fit for it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's been one of the things that I've loved the most personally about Payday 2 has been that live-action integration and seeing those trailers, and also just the way that I think personally they improved, or at least got to be of a higher quality from the filming perspective and everything as it went on. I think I said to you when I was at the office, it was Hardcore Henry in particular. That one was just... That was the absolute peak of just the way it was put together and filmed, and it was so cool to see a more extended piece of live action content. It wasn't just 2 minutes, it was almost like a mini story in and of itself, and seeing things like that hopefully take a full form will be really exciting, I feel like.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's such a cool history Payday has with, the Hardcore Henry stuff we did, as well as, the John Wick live action trailer we did, and a lot of the other things. Introducing Rust as a playable character portrayed by Ron Perlman in the trailer and voiced by him in the game. But I think the important thing to realize as a community member and a fan of Payday is that those are very short. They're only a few minutes long. And in order to create something longer, you have to put so much more work behind it, not only through the script and the story and the narrative of it all, but also it's just such a much bigger endeavor to try to complete. So that's why we're taking our time and making sure that we do it proper.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what you guys cook up with that there. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get some more information soon.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to feedback on from consoles actually was just a bit of a how did it happen kind of scenario, because one thing I didn't expect when we had the Payday 3 reveal was that it was going to be day one on Xbox Game Pass. How on earth did that come to be? Was there any kind of cool stories to how that happened, or how you came to have that agreement?
We're just happy to be able to partner with Xbox and Microsoft in being able to give Payday 3 to Game Pass members day one as the game launches. And while I can't get into the behind the scenes of it all, I can just say that any opportunity to get more heisters into the universe of Payday, I think is an opportunity that we should look into and make happen. And thankfully, we were able to do that with Game Pass. So not only can you get the game through Steam, Epic, PlayStation, or Xbox, you can now also get it through Game Pass. And I just think that's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And especially for the console community, it's a good way for a lot of them to kind of check it out again without, spending anything. They can get to have a go, and then they can support you through DLC if they find that they like what they're playing. And I feel like from what I've seen and what's been shared, I think they will probably enjoy what they're seeing, I would say.
That's great.
But speaking of, with us recording this a little bit later to do the pickup, the press embargo has lifted as of just over 2 hours ago. So content creators have got their videos out, press articles are going up left, right and centre about Payday. Can you just talk to me as to how it's been for you, just seeing what's been a vastly positive majority of people talking about Payday 3 and getting to share more info? What's that been like for you and also for Starbreeze as a studio?
Well, yeah, it's like you're saying, it's not only been big for me, it's been an amazing experience for me personally, but also for our team, to finally be able to see what everyone thinks, because the most important part of it all is that you actually got your hands on it, right? You got to try Payday 3 for several hours, get to heisting, make sure that your words now carry that weight they need when you talk about it. And the same goes for the media and press outlets out there. So it's become a whole other type of conversation now. Now it's not only about, the gameplay trailer, how it seems to be. Now it actually is about how it is. So I cannot wait to just show more about the remaining heists, the rest of the content, and the full experience of the game come launch.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what else you guys cook up with the marketing campaign. Like I said, it's been so strange seeing it go from so little information to so much in like the blink of an eye. But the amount you're giving now is brilliant. I can't wait to see what else you guys share in the next 3 months. It's crazy to think there's still 3 months to go. Like, I honestly, just getting my hands on it makes me think it's going to be around the corner, and then I realise there's still quite a bit of time to go.
Yeah, there are some 90 days left now of the marketing campaign for the game. And we're up in full speed now, right? We've got the developer diaries out. The second episode just released a few days ago. We had you coming over to our studio by invitation, getting to try the game together with the rest of the Starbreeze partners, as well as media getting invites and hosting them online as well for interviews and play sessions. So it's really like the cat's really out of the bag right now. And it seems that the people are enjoying the heisting again in Payday.
Yeah, it's very, very glad to hear. It's fantastic to be able to talk about it as well. I'm glad there wasn't long between playing it and being able to talk about it, because that was a hard thing to sit on for even a few days. It would have been much worse if it had been longer.
Yeah. And for us as well, right? We want to see what people think, especially after you've had an opportunity to play the game, that those words carry so much more weight. And super excited about the response so far.
We're coming towards the end of the questions. I do have one kind of more jokey one to ask you, just because I'm purely interested as a player, because I don't actually know the story behind this. I don't know if everyone else does, but can you explain to me what the deal is with Almir's toast? Because I feel like maybe I missed the start of the joke and I don't know what's going on there, and I don't know if anyone else is in the same boat as me.
They might be, yeah. So these days, Almir's toast is like a given within the Payday fandom, right? But at the beginning, back in 2013, when we launched Payday 2, what it was just one of the things you could find in the deposit boxes when you were robbing the branch bank in Payday 2. So you would open deposit boxes looking for loot, and you could find money bundles, but you could also find some jewelry, some papers or whatnot. And one of our developers thought it was a fun idea to just put in a piece of toast that someone had taken a chunk out of. And over time, for whatever reason, it became Almir's toast, and since then it's become this huge meme within the Payday community, and I'm all here for it. I think it's a brilliant meme, and I love toast personally, so can't wait to grab some later.
Perfectly suits you then. Well, does that mean we're going to see it in Payday 3 maybe?
Maybe. I mean, with the Starbreeze developers, they're a funny bunch, right? They have a good sense of humor, and humor is a big part of what makes Payday into Payday. So we'll see what you'll find, but I wouldn't spoil that for you if it was there.
Well, I know that Hoxton likes his toast. It was the only pager line I heard while I was playing was Hoxton saying he was busy eating beans on toast. So I feel like there's a theme there. I think there's a theme going on. So I'm going to be intrigued to see what you do with that. But no, so it's been an absolute pleasure, Almir. Thank you once again for now the second time for sitting down and doing this with me to especially do these pickup shots. I really, really appreciate it to kind of complete the interview and give everyone the full experience of finally getting that interview that I begged you for on Twitter for about 5 years. Rather shamelessly, but hey, I think it was worth the wait. I think hopefully everyone agrees.
And now you got 2 versions of it too.
Exactly. Combine it all together would be a great little thing. Have you got any closing messages maybe for the Payday community or anyone watching this just to kind of close off the interview?
Well, yeah, first one is aimed towards you. Thank you so much for coming on over, and thank you for being that critical voice in our community over the years. You together with the rest of the Starbreeze partners and the rest of the people that care about Payday, you are integral in making Payday what it is today. And the things you like, the things you don't like, all of it matters, in helping us build a better experience for all our players. And ultimately, last but not least, I'd like to thank you, the viewers, the Heisters out there who have supported us through thick and thin, who have remained interested in Payday, faithful to the franchise, that are still curious about where the future is headed for Payday. Hopefully you will enjoy Payday 3 as much as you did, Red, when you were playing it last week, as much as we have developing the game. And yeah, can't wait to hear what all of you think. And thank you again for your support over the years. I salute you.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. And I can't wait to hear more people playing it and talking about it. There's certainly a lot of excitement in my community now. A lot of people saying that their excitement's ramping up for the game. So hopefully they'll be able to share in the good feeling soon. They get their hands on it and give it a try. It'll be very good. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's Payday. That's the best way to sum it up. It certainly is. Thank you very much, Almir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, we talked about... Yeah, okay, let's look at that next. Yeah, good one. Okay, let's do that. I'm just saying good, like I'm congratulating myself on my own question. That's a good one, well done. Okay, it's so cool even as well to just see the stream room and like everything you've got set up in the background.
Yeah, this is where the magic happens.
Yeah,
right? This is where I go down weekly.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever told you that because I always think about that. It was Crime Wave that did that.
That's amazing,
yeah.
And obviously we got a lot of flack for the Crime Wave edition, not getting additional updates. So I'm so happy to see that it didn't only bring bad things with it, it also brought good things.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And I hope for Payday 3 people will realize that we're trying to make amends for the mistakes we did in the past regarding the console players, and that we're looking to give them what they deserve.
Yeah.